Descartes claims that his curse
Magandang araw sa inyong lahat at ngayon pag-uusapan natin ang buhay ng father of modern philosophy na si Rene Descartes, isang philosopher at isang mathematician. At kilala siya sa payag na I think, therefore I am. Pinanganak siya noong March 31, 1596 sa Lahey, isang maliit na bayan sa gitnang France, na kinalaunan ay pinangalan sa kanya. Bunso siya sa tatlong magkakapatid at ang kanyang ina ay si Rochelle na namatay pagkapanganak sa kanya. Ang kanyang ama naman ay si Joachim na isang council member sa Parliament Provisional. At nanirahan siya sa kanyang maternal grandmother pagkamatay ng kanyang ina. At ang kanyang ama naman ay nakapangasawa ulit. At the age of 8, siya ay nag-aral sa Jesuit College of Henry IV sa Lafayette dahil gusto ng kanyang ama na magkaroon siya ng magandang edukasyon. Descartes was a good student, ngunit siya ay sakipin. Nag-aral siya ng rhetoric, logic, mathematical arts which include music and astronomy, as well as metaphysics and natural philosophy and ethics. Nakatulong ito upang maging philosopher siya sa future. Pinag-aralan niya din ang theology at medicine. Naglakbay siya at nakasali siya sa isang army sa sandaling panahon. Dito, nakilala niya si Isaac Beckman, na isang scientist at naging influential sa kanyang pag-aaral. Hindi siya nagkasal, ngunit nagkaroon siya ng anak na si Francine. Ngunit namatay ito at the age of 5. Lumipat naman siya sa Netherlands for 20 years dahil magulo sa France. Pumunta naman siya sa Sweden upang maging philosophy tutor ni Queen Christina. Sa Stockholm, Sweden na siya namatay noong February 11, 1650. At ang kanyang mga sikat na gawa ay La Geometry, The Discourse on Method, The Word, Rules for the Direction of the Mind, The Passions of the Soul, Letter to both Jews at Principles of Philosophy.
Ngayon, pag-uusapan naman natin ang method of doubt ni Rene Descartes. Ano nga ba ang method of doubt? Method of doubt is a method developed by the philosopher Rene Descartes in his famous essay, Meditation on First Philosophy. Descartes began meditation, one of his classic meditation on first philosophy, by saying throughout his life, he had acquired several opinions and beliefs, which he later discovered to be false. The main goal of Descartes was to find a foundation on which knowledge can be built. Descartes wanted to find a certainty or truth which could not be doubted beyond dispute. He agrees with Plato that knowledge requires certainty, but Plato rejected the idea that physical world is not knowable. What does it mean to be certain? Descartes' main problem was how to achieve this certainty. In order to achieve this aim, Descartes adopted a systematic method known as the method of doubt. The method of doubt teaches us to take our beliefs and subject them to doubt. It is possible to doubt, then we treat them as false, and we need to repeat this process until we are unable to find something to doubt on. The main point is that we treat all our beliefs as false until we find a foundation which is undoubtable, and we use the undoubtable things to build up everything on it. The method of doubt will be elaborated based on doubting the senses, doubting the physical world or dream. According to this doubt, Descartes confirmed that all knowledge received through the senses must be temporarily prevented from continuing because they are not certain. In addition, we can doubt that what our senses give us accurate, but they cannot be the foundation of building true knowledge or certainty.
Descartes was famous for his quote, Cogito Ergo in Latin, while I think therefore I am in English. Pero unang-unang iisipin natin, bakit nga ba nito sinabi in the first place? Pero let's take a look at something called global skepticism. Global skepticism, ito yung idea that all beliefs can be doubted, pero hindi pininiwalaan ito ni Descartes. Kasi, sabi niya, we can be certain about what we consider to be true. Kaya Descartes concludes that he can only be certain of one belief, and that is, I am thinking. This is because nothing, even an evil, powerful evil demon, make him doubt that he is thinking, since to doubt that you are thinking would be thinking in itself. From here, Descartes now reasons that because it is true that I am thinking, then it must also be true that I exist. After all my thoughts must come from somewhere. Descartes will say, therefore, at this moment, we can be certain of only two beliefs, which are, I am thinking and I exist. Para mas maintindihan natin, ang sinasabi lang naman ng I think, therefore I am, or cogito ergo sum in Latin, sinasabi lang naman dito na kung nag-iisip ka, ibig sabihin, nag-exist ka. Yun lang. In 1649, Descartes completed the book entitled Book of Passion of Soul. It is dedicated to Queen Christina of Sweden. It is his contribution to a long tradition of philosophical inquiry into the nature of passion. Passions were experiences now commonly called emotions in the modern period that had been a subject of debate among other philosophers and theologians since the time of Plato. Descartes wished to speak of the passions neither as a moralist nor from a psychological perspective, but as a method of exploring a fundamental aspect of natural science. He wrote in a letter to his editor dated August 14, 1649 that my design is not to explain the passion as an orator, nor even as a philosopher, but only as a physicist. In completing the books of Passion of Soul, Descartes wrote only not the Aristotelian but also the Stoic and Christian tradition and perspective which define passion as an illness of soul and which dictate that they be treated as such. Pero si Descartes, ang sabi niya about sa passion are intrinsically good and that all we have to avoid is their misuse or their excess. Descartes perceived the body as an autonomous machine, capable of moving independently of the soul. It was from his physiological perception of the body that Descartes developed his theories of the passion of the soul. Formerly considered to be an anomaly, the passions become a natural phenomenon, necessitating a scientific explanation. Descartes does not predict the passions in principle. Instead, he underlined their beneficial role in human existence. He maintains that humans should work to better understand their function in order to control them rather than be controlled by them. Thus, Rene Descartes said, even those who have the weakest souls could acquire absolute mastery over all their passions if they work hard enough at training and guiding them. Can you imagine yourself having a mind without a body or a body without a mind? Well, certainly not. That would be weird since our common definition of the mind is the brain. Try niyong isipin or imagine ang isang world kung saan may mga katawan pero walang utak. Di ba parang may isip niya agad, ay, zombie, brain dead. O kaya naman isang world kung saan may maraming brain na nag-interact with each other. That's certainly mind-blowing. My point is, we humans live by having our body and mind naturally working with each other. Hindi natin sila mapaghiwalay, that's our common view. But this time, let's try to open our minds and broaden our perspective. Rene Descartes proposed a thesis now called mind-body dualism. Sabi dito, ang mind and body daw
Dahil marami nang napatunayan at nadiskubre si Rene Descartes, nag-isip siya ng panibagong problema na kanyang susolusyonan. Isang halimbawa na nga dito ang existence ng ating Supreme Being, which is si God. Mula dito, nakabuo siya ng dalawang argument, namely, trademark argument and ontological argument. Sa trademark argument, sinasabi na gustong i-prove ni Descartes ang existence ni God just by the fact na meron siyang concept ni God. Nasabi siyang trademark dahil pinapalabas ni Descartes na innate na ang concept na ito sa atin. O kaya parang nakastamp o nakatatak na ito sa utak natin noong una pa lang. The idea of God is innate. From this basis, he argues that we should find the source of ideas. And here, he offers the causal adequacy principle. Sinasabi sa principle na ito na there must be at least as much reality in the total cause as in the effect of that cause. Sinasabi rin niya na ang causal adequacy principle ay extension ng fundamental axiom ex nihilo nihil fit o nothing comes from nothing. Descartes argues na kung ina-admit natin na mayroong something sa effect na hindi matatagpuan sa cause, ay ina-admit natin na itong bagay na to was produced by nothing. So, if these are the premises of the trademark argument, how does this lead us to proving God's existence? Mag-start muna tayo sa idea niya. Si Descartes ay may idea ni God na infinite siya, eternal, at iba pa. Sundin natin ang causal adequacy principle niya, dapat yung pinanggalingan ng idea niya kay God ay naglalaman ng lahat ng features na sinabi niya kay God, which are yung infinite nga and yung eternal. Ngayon, umamin si Descartes na siya ay isang finite at imperfect na tao, which is completely opposite kay God. Therefore, hindi siya pwede maging cause ng idea niya kay God. Dahil dito, dineclare ni Descartes na it must necessarily be concluded that God exists. Pero gano'n na lang ba agad yun? At sufficient ba yung argument niya para i-prove yung existence ni God? I believe not. Kaya, mayroong mga kumontra sa principle niya na to. Unang kahinaan ng causal adequacy principle ay ang tinatawag ng mga critics na heirloom view of causation. Ang paraan para ang effect ay mapossess ang certain property is to inherit it from its causes. Therefore, there can be no cases of object that is greater than the sum of its parts.
For the last topic, we have morality. There are two principles of morality. First is the provisional moral code, and second is the generosity. The first principle is the maxim of provisional moral code that appears in Part 3 of Discourse on the Method. Descartes established these 3 or 4 maxims so that he is not frozen by uncertainty in the principle affair in life. The first maxim was to obey the laws and customs of my country, holding constantly to the religion in which by God's grace I had been instructed from my childhood. The second maxim was to be as firm and decisive in my actions, as once I had adopted them with no less constancy than if they had been quiet certain. The third maxim was to try always to master myself rather than fortune, and to change my desires rather than the order of the world. And fourth is to review the various professions and chose the best. The main point of the first maxim is to live a moderate and sensible life, while his previously held beliefs have been discarded due to their uncertainty. It makes sense to defer judgment about such matters until certainty is found. Descartes defers to the laws and customs of the country in which he lives because of the improbability of them leading him onto the wrong path, while his own moral belief have been suspended. Therefore, the first maxim is intended to provide Descartes with guides or touchstones that will most likely lead the performance of morally good actions. The second maxim expresses a firmness of action so as to avoid the inaction produced by hesitation and uncertainty, Descartes uses the example of a traveler lost in a forest. This traveler should not wander about or even stand still, for then he will never find his way. Instead, he should keep walking in straight line and should never change his direction for slight reasons. Hence, although the traveler may not end up where he wants, at least he will be better off than in the middle of the forest. Since practical action must usually be performed without delay, there usually is not time to discover the truest action, but one must follow the most probable route, even if no route must be chosen, and resolutely acted upon and treated as the most true and certain. By following this maxim, Descartes hoped to avoid the regrets experienced by those who set out on a supposedly good course that they later judged to be bad. The third maxim enjoins Descartes to master himself and not fortune. This is based on the realization that all that is in his control are his own thoughts and nothing else. Hence, the most things are out of his control, those who have desires that cannot be satisfied, because dissatisfaction lies beyond their grasp, so that one should not desire health when ill, nor freedom when imprisoned. Descartes claims that his current occupation is the basis of the other three maxims because it is his current plan to continue his instruction that gave rise to them. His final point is that learning how best to judge what is good and bad makes it possible to act well and achieve all attainable virtues and goods. Happiness is assured when this point is reached with certainty. The second principle of morality is generosity. This is Descartes' correspondence with Princess Elizabeth in 1643, which culminated in his remarks about generosity in Part 3 of the Soul. Given the temporal distance between his main reflections on morality, it is easy to attribute to Descartes two moral systems, the Provisional Code and the Ethics of Generosity. Descartes' later moral thinking retains versions of the second and third maxim. At Passions, Part 3, Section 153, Descartes claims that the virtue of generosity causes a person's self-esteem to be as great as it may legitimately be, and has two components. First is knowing that only the freedom to dispose volitions is in anyone's power. Second component is the feeling of a firm and constant resolutions to one's freedom will such that one can never lack the will to carry out whatever has been judged to the best. Both components of generosity relate to the second and third maxim of the Provisional Moral Code. The first component is reminiscent of the third maxim in its acknowledgement of people's freedom of choice, and the second component relates to the second maxim in that both took firm and resolute action. The difference between the two moral codes is that the Provisional Moral Code of the discourse focus on the correct use and resolute enactment of probable judgments, while the later ethics of generosity emphasizes a firm resolution to use free will correctly. In both moral systems, the correct use of mental faculties, namely judgment and free will, and the resolute pursuit of what is judged to be good is to be enacted, in turn should lead us to a true state of generosity so as to legitimately esteem ourselves as having correctly used those faculties through which humans are most in the likeness of God.
Sorry.
Therefore, at this moment, we can be certain. Traditional philosophical inquiry into the nature of passion. Yan? Joke lang. Balikan natin yung mental.
Descartes, susundin natin ang causal adequacy principle niya.
Freedom of choice, and the second to Ay, hindi ko pala. Nagkamali ka pala tayo. Sige ulit.